What's up, fellow gaming lords, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. So by now you should have already seen my video basically addressing should you start hoarding resources, right? And there's my arguments basically against why you should be hoarding resources. But I guess this is kind of bringing back, talking about the developer's note that was recently released, and I'm going to kind of pick up back from there, from that last one. So, but this is more addressing the new Blitz chain and the new Blitz chain of the Abyss, and we're specifically looking at, Marvel Future Revolution. But I'm going to show you some things from Marvel Future Fight to give you guys some semblance of stuff. I still stand by my comments in the previous video about why I don't believe that you necessarily need to be hoarding resources and stacking them up. And I thought about something in between making that video and this one. And because I was basically addressing inside Marvel Future Fight, there's a requirement for you to have a complement of heroes, meaning that, because it's a single player focused game, you have to have a team in order to play some of the game modes, especially at the higher ends. And this is going to lead into the new chain of Blitz. Don't worry about that. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, right? But when you talk about this stuff, right, there's a reason inside here that I assemble a team, and this team is actually active as a pair 3, as opposed to inside Marvel Future Fight. I just have to really invest in one character and I join up with others to play those teams. And I brought up the point that we only know about Ilyana Rasputin magic coming to the game. We don't know if they're going to release a number of other heroes the way they do in like Marvel Future Fight, where we, like for instance, like I pointed out, this new Shang-Chi update, we basically got a character upgrade and a uniform for Shang-Chi. He's already been in the game, but we also got the 2 new characters in Wenwu and Aquafina. Even if that happens inside Marvel Future Revolution, where they give us Ilyana magic, they give us Scarlet Witch, and they give us Falcon all at the same time. Let's say that happens, and I bring up those characters because they were data mined, or those looking as if those might be, it's going to be harder for us to tell because those characters are apparently going to be models inside the, in the new areas that's inside the game. The point is that you're still, even if you hoard resources, you're not going to be able to keep up with the investment of trying to level up every single hero in the game, at one time. It's just not going to happen. And that's why I say marathon, not a sprint. But I wanted to bring up a different thing inside this video, and it was specifically to address the new chain, the new Blitz chain of the Abyss. And it was talking about befitting the title, the ruler of the dark dimension. Dormammu transforms for up to 3 stages, and his combat style will have very different patterns from previous Blitz bosses. The patterns were developed based on the concept of Dormammu as the ruler of dimensions, and the heroes who have faced him must avoid deadly attacks while constantly moving through different spaces. Dodge the mighty thorns thrown by Dormammu through the dimensional tiers and challenge yourself to this new Blitz. So I kind of wanted to show you guys a possibility of what that might look like, because up until this point we've basically had Blitz and I hate to say this, but Blitz, Raid, and the Most Wanted hunts, they basically all use the same mechanics in terms of gameplay, right? Where there's a timed display for you to dodge, attack, and that's really it. The characters don't adjust, the villains don't adjust in any way, meaning like, if I'm playing Blitz, it is Blitz. It's just the same mechanics that I have for, Maestro is going to be the same mechanics that I'd have for Maestro inside the Raid, because essentially they're the same. Like if I jump inside Blitz and I go inside Sakaar and I see him there as a Most Wanted target, the exact same mechanics apply. If I jump inside the Raid, the mechanics are pretty much the same. There's a time sequence of events that happens, and that's all that triggers, and nothing changes in that regard. For the longest time inside Marvel Future Fight, we had world boss fights where each of the world bosses basically had a normal stage and they had a time set of events, and then inside the world boss ultimate stage they had another series of timed events. So you could look at the character, there was rewards for completing each tier of it, and you could look at the world boss challenge records and stuff like that. So basically it was world boss ultimate versus world boss, world boss normal versus world boss ultimate versus world boss legends. So So what I want to show you is the one character that we have in the game that actually does some changes that could be reflective of what Dormammu. So I missed out on getting to roll him, and that's Mephisto. Mephisto actually changes. Now, he's still a 3-staged fight, right? Similar to what they're saying here, where it's going to be like, you know, various stages, but we're not teleporting with him to any place, but he does go through 3 stages with different attack patterns inside here. So I'm going to lose this so that way you guys know and you don't make fun of me in the comments for losing this. I'm going to choose let's choose Sentry, because I think I can withstand the most damage with Sentry without doing the most damage. So most of my teams are pretty geared out to doing those. So let's go through with Sentry. I think this is going to be the easier one to show you some of the mechanics. So for instance, Dormammu, when he got released, he was Mephisto, when he got released, he was automatically released as a World Boss Legend character. He automatically had the characteristics of what they are talking about with what Dormammu is, and he basically had these 3 stages of battle inside here. And basically, let me put this volume up for a little bit so that way we get some kind of music going on inside here so you can hear some of the triggers and stuff like that. That's what I'm gonna put that volume up. I know it bugs some people, but I'm gonna put the volume up so that way you can hear some of the trigger events. So basically, Dormammu starts out in this form, which is his fairly humanoid form. We'll switch over here to him. He has the normal attack patterns inside here, where basically you can see he's summoning Hellfire on the character floor. And basically inside this mode we have a mechanic, right? It's different than the mechanics of the other 2 stages. He starts out with a guard break bar that you can't really see, so you don't know how much damage you're doing to it. All you know from, you know, players that's doing this is you're trying to do as much damage to him in terms of chain hit without raising his rage bar. So you can see that he's got a number of attacks, right? So I'm gonna progress him now through this stage, and in this stage it's a little bit different because the mechanic is a little bit different, right? I'm trying to do the most amount of damage to break a guard break bar that I can't see, while also doing enough damage to take him to the next stage so he doesn't get his rage meter. Now this stage I absolutely despise and hate. So you can see that Mephisto has changed, and now he has his horns. He looks more demonic in his form. I'm still trying to not raise up his rage meter, aka piss him off, while get rid of 30 bars of health, and he has some different attacks, this one being the most annoying. So it's added a new attack pattern inside there, right? So now I can progress and steamroll through this stage and do some damage to him so that way he doesn't mess me up. And you can see even with inside this stage he has a, you know, relatively new attack or another stage within a stage, and inside this stage he has a raged up attack, sort of, right? Where now we're attacking this way. So now I've got to continue to do this damage to him. I didn't even press anything. What the hell just happened? But now he changes into a 3rd stage. You can see this, right? So he went full demon on us, demon lord, and he has some other attack patterns inside here. See this? So there's some new attack patterns. The attack patterns pretty much remain the same in terms of, like, it gives me an indicator that the attack is coming up and I need to get the hell out the way and change up things how I see it, right? You can see there's some new attacks that are happening inside here. So all in all, he has some very distinct attacks. And once again, I'm trying to get his bar down to level without, you know, incurring his wrath on his rage bar, while at the same time, you know, ooh, he got me killed that time. Thank God that he has a revive. That's why I used him, because I felt like he could do the most amount of damage. But there's another stage within a stage. So, okay, I'm going to let him trigger it right now, because you'll get to see this FFX animation where he gets pissed off, and it's a stage within a stage where he gets pissed off like that, and he's like, yo, now I'm gonna rage out. And we have a new mechanic that we have to accommodate for inside here. I've got to collect all of the sigils from Doctor Strange, who then puts him in a time freeze so that I can do more damage to him, and that beats the character in a sense, right? So you can see essentially how a Dormammu Blitz might look with regards to that, right? And I say that because this is World Boss Legend, and I feel like the World Boss Legend stages, or not necessarily World Boss Legend, but the World Bosses stage inside Marvel Future Fight, resemble the most in terms of what we could possibly expect from Dormammu. But there's more, right? And I say that because we can take a look at Dormammu in this game and see what he potentially has in store for us. This is the current Dormammu that we have. He's wearing his Damnation uniform. If you haven't read that comic, I highly suggest you run over to your comic book store or go on to Marvel's comics, their app, or Comixology, whichever one wants to sponsor me. I'm glad to shout out either one of them. And you'll notice that he has different uniforms. So he has this classic Dormammu look over here, and then he had this new uniform that we got most recently, right? So let's take a look at the character though, because so that way we can break down and look at some of his skills. I always forget. Let me turn this back on so that way you guys get the full effect. Where's the SFX? So we're going to turn on the SFX. So this is going to give you an idea, you know, of looking at Dormammu and looking at some of the abilities that he has. This is one of the things that sucks, right? Like, we're locked into this isometric view of the game here, where I love the fact that, you know, I can spin around the character and change the camera angle inside Marvel Future Revolution. I think it's cool, and I think it'd be great if we had that inside Marvel Future Fight, but nevertheless. So we're going to look at his skills. So skill number 1, we can see Dormammu, and this is why I brought this up to you guys, right? Because if you remember inside here, it literally says dodge the mighty thorns thrown by Dormammu through the dimensional tiers and challenge yourself to this new Blitz. So it's really cool, right? Because you can already see that he's summoning some thorns. So let's take a look real quick. I'm going to exit the skill preview really quick so we can look at what the name of that skill is, and we can look over here. We see it's dread crystals, right? So you can see that's kind of like thorns, right? He has his ultimate skill, which is Reign of Fear, the Blade of Faultine, and then we even got planetary collisions, some fallen wildfire, Faultine wildfire, dark dimension. So there's different skills inside there. So let's look at those. So you can see how the thorns might possibly appear to you and what you're thorning, you know, or what you're dodging, because he's opening up a space-time essentially, right? He's ripping through space, and the thorns are basically summoning. Fairly good skill in terms of looking, right? So then we go to, this is the sword, and you can see it's a simple slash, but it's giving us some fire damage on the characters as well, and it's definitely doing a great area of effect, right? So that could be something that, you know, is a triggered event that pops up, and, you know, the same way like Maestro's frontal attack happens, right? Then we can look at number 3. So you can see how he summons like this planetary void, almost looks like Saturn coming down on you. So you can see with Dormammu here where we have some of the skills start to take effect inside here. This could be one of his crash down skills that happens inside there, similar to Maestro's area of effect skill, or most of the characters have that area of effect skill that you're like, yo, I gotta dodge the freak out of this. Faultine Sword would be one of those skills that you could see inside there being used for that. One of my favorite skills is his Breath of Fire, where he grows nice and big and then he just breathes hellfire down on you. Really cool skill that you could see happening inside the game, especially if you think about him transforming and maybe having different patterns or stages of attack, right? Because we're going back to that. And then he has a tier 3 skill, which is something I don't necessarily see happening inside the game, because this would just be ridiculous. But he's summoning the whole globe and he's just basically developing. But the thing is, in there you can see with inside that skill the thorns once again, right? So I hope you paid attention to that. Let me do the skill one more time so that way you can get the effect of it. So the level is back up. Rotate through the skills. There we go. And so now pay attention as we do this again, and towards the end of the skill, just as the globe hits, you'll see the thorns kind of take over and kind of envelop, spreading out in AoE. So you can see that there. So in a sense, you see what we could possibly get for Dormammu. I suspect that we're going to get a Dormammu closer in look to this classic version of Dormammu. That would be my hope, that we get something closer to this. But, you know, we could get something like this Halloween Jack-o'-lantern kind of look with inside the game. So I wanted to address that because I thought it was a really cool thing to be able to look at and go, hey, you know what, I could show you what the what a 3-stage attack might look like in Blitz versus what patterns could change and how they could change, because Mephisto's World Boss Legend clearly shows that they can change the patterns and stuff like that of attack on a character. You also get an idea of what these thorns that you're going to have to be dodging looks like. Unfortunately, there's nothing I could really give you to kind of look at like what the new mode, the Epic Invasion Mad Titan necessarily looks like, because while I can show you Thanos, you've already seen him inside the game, and it's weird to try to describe a mode where we see epic invasions consisting of 5 difficulty levels, and you know, it's a boss more powerful than any, you know, prepare to fight Thanos, because I don't really know how to describe that invasion mode and how they're necessarily gonna take it inside there. But I'm looking forward to that new game content. Here you have it again. That's Dormammu. That's the 3 stages. I hope this guys gives you an idea of what to expect. I hope that in September we're gonna get that. I'm expecting that if we do, that we should hear something on Tuesday night about what's coming, you know, in patch notes or anything like that. But we haven't heard anything up until this point, so I'm not imagining that we're gonna get the patch tonight or tomorrow. I expect probably later sometime in September. But I hope this video helps you guys out and gave you guys something to get excited about, and you know, picked up from my last video to let you guys know why I don't think that you necessarily need to be hoarding materials and things like that. Until next time, guys, remember to hit that like, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment in the section. All that shit helps the algorithm. Until next time, guys, peace.